Hello everyone, I'm Sonal Jindal, a businesswoman from the global fashion industry, and I'm working towards women empowerment and gender inequality. I believe that behind every successful woman is a tribe of other successful women who have her back. Today at this session, we have a tribe of successful women. Before going ahead, I would like to thank you, Mr. Anurag Batra, Team Business World, Mr. Rajiv Mathur, Team Outstanding Security Performance Awards, for giving me privilege to moderate this panel. I would request my panelists to give a brief introduction about what they do. I would like to start the panel with Rupal ji. So, can we have a brief introduction?
Thank you, Sonal. Thank you so much, and greetings to all my co-panelists. Uh, as I've been already introduced, so I'm heading Quest Corp. It's a listed business, largest private employer in India, and I head the division of facility management, which encompasses all the business, all the service verticals, right from security to facility management. So we white label and provide a customized solution to the clients, which spreads in all length and breadth from security to facility. Coming my background, I am basically a lawyer by profession. I did my company secretary. I am a commerce graduate, and thereafter, when my transition came towards security, of course, I took a training from IFPO, so I'm a certified trainer from US. So that sums me up as far as my academic profile is concerned. My transition, I started as a lawyer. I moved to a company secretarial role. And I think the major shift that happened from a support function to a P&L over half a decade was in G4S, which is again the largest private security company in the world, and where I moved from a lawyer to a regional managing director position, commanding Indian subcontinent. So by the time I left in 2011, it was at 130,000 people. Wow. Thereafter, in OCS, brought OCS into India, another British facility management company. Before joining Quest, I was the group president of MISA, another third largest security player in India. So this is what I am at the moment.
Thank you, Rupal ji. Lieutenant Colonel Himani, can we know something about you?
Yeah, a very good evening to all of you, and thanks a ton, Mr. Rajiv Mathur and Sonal and all my co-panelists for giving me this opportunity. And in fact, the topic is very, very intriguing, and this is one question I keep hearing many at times because of the profession I am in. So I'm Lieutenant Colonel Himani Thaplian. I've served Indian Army for 14 years, and 2018 I took the voluntary retirement and joined the Vedanta Group. I'm heading security function for one of our aluminium business, and presently located at Odisha. So this is all about me, Sonal, and I have the privilege of being the first lady officer of this Vedanta group, and even in my regiment also, I was the first one. So I carry these two tags very, very close to my heart. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Himani. We are so proud of you. Monica from Norway, can we know something about you?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me. I wanted to say hi to everybody in the panel, and hello to India. So I'm live from Norway right now. Just a bit about myself. I've worked in now cybersecurity and risk management for almost 13, 14 years. I started my journey in security as a professional ethical hacker. So I come from a very technical background. I used to hack for a living, obviously legally, and get paid for it. So that was really fantastic. But then soon I learned that the challenges in security and risk management of businesses were much broader. So in the last 5-7 years, I have worked mostly in the leadership roles. I've led risk management and security. And today also I'm leading security and risk management as an overall business perspective and helping businesses, especially in the finance sector, to be more secure and also helping a society with that. I'm also sitting on the board of Cloud Security Alliance in Norway and Women in Cybersecurity in Norway. So I represent, I feel with the technologies coming and the cloud being so important moving forward, it's something that one needs to really think about. And it's a lot about mindset and not just about cloud being somebody else's computer. That is what people hear and say. And I am also very active on the social media. I love talking about security and risk management. This is something that's a passion for me and not just my career. I have my own blog where I talk about security, which is on the website monicatalkcyber.com. I have my own podcast show, which is called We Talk Cyber. So I invite security and risk and privacy professionals to talk about these topics and just raise awareness.
Yeah, so basically, Monica, you are a good hacker, right? The good one, not the bad one.
Yes, I'm an ethical hacker. I'm a good one, correct.
You are an ethical hacker. So now we come to Ela. So Ela, can you tell me something about you?
Sure. Thanks, Sonal. Hi, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. So I am a risk management advisor, really, and I kind of advise clients globally around security and operational risk, crisis management, integrity risk, strategic problem solving, ethics and compliance, investigation, many other areas of risk which are there. I've worked with a lot of risk management companies, namely International SOS, Pinkerton, Controllers Group. I've been a secretary to Overseas Security Advisory Council, Delhi chapter, for more than 2.5 years. I was also vice chair FSCI Women Security for some time, and I've been trained in a number of risk management arenas around first aid, around active shooter, kidnap and ransom, crisis readiness and response, and soft skills and many other aspects of it. So yeah, that's about me.
Wow, great portfolio. Great, Ela. Okay, Himani, I have a first question for you. What are the ill prejudice against the women in security, and how we can overcome these challenges to support young female professionals to grow in security functions?
Thank you, Sonu, for a very, very intriguing question, I think, to start with. There is an often, unrecognized challenge when discussing women's inclusion in the security function. There, I feel few preconceived notions carry the flag. Like there is a common misunderstanding that women will not be able to handle the stakeholder engagement, the connect with the local administration would be a difficulty, or during mob gathering or labor strike, women security professionals will not be able to handle, or maybe dark art deployment issues and so on. So on the contrary, out of my own experience, I can say that the anguished mob, neighbors or stakeholders get handled much better when we have a female interface. Even many here would agree with me that if the stakeholder plan of an industry is well thought, it's robust, it's executed with empathy, the chances of your business ending up in unrest situations will get reduced drastically. And therefore, I think the female leadership style of being transformational can bring in desired business results of reducing the risk rather than directly heading onto it. So, in fact, I would like to give you a brief of it that in April I had conducted a survey with almost 132 security female professionals within the service bracket of 2 to 10 years across different kind of industries. One of the striking highlights of that survey was that almost 97% of them felt that they are not tasked up to their capability, and their male superiors are overprotective and they fear to task them with sensitive or higher responsibility roles. So in my opinion, this is purely due to zero error syndrome and few preconceived notions about the capability of a female in, I'm sorry to say, but historically male dominated function. So I think there is an urgency to redesign the job roles and implement gender neutral recruitment processes and diversifying the security teams. So, like for young professionals, I would say, like the people like me who are already working in the field as experts, we simply want to be, considered equal to our male colleagues. We really don't want to be seen as token females who are only asked to fulfill an organizational commitment to a gender inclusion policy. So, we are not gender experts. We are simply seeking equal access, acknowledgement, and bashing also as experts in our chosen field. I think the requirement is very, very simple and straight. So the course of my in my 16 years of professional journey, although I feel and I have seen matters have evolved a lot, with women increasingly taking up positions of power and responsibility. However, the grip of men on the power in the security environment remains strong. So, this can make it a bit difficult for young female professionals to be equals when engaging in the security space. So, even if there isn't an intentional or institutional discrimination against them, so yes, there are certain broader challenges which needs to be addressed, such as how successful women must often still go through, male gatekeepers or supporters to advance their careers in security because their heads would be male counterparts. So I strongly feel that God helps the brave, and there is no second thought that you need to work harder on your competency and skill set to create a niche for yourself. But at the same time, it's very, very important for security leaders to identify and understand that what kind of skill set women professionals can bring in to the security domain. And we start leveraging that particular niche quality. It will not only help us to achieve an inclusive environment, but will also ensure that right mix of people are there to handle your security cover efficiently, and more so when your gender diversity ratio is increasing, in other departments also. So it's almost inevitable. You just can't do without them. So it's better to have that gender inclusive environment. So this is my take on it.
So women are brave hearts, right? So that's the inclusion. That's the inclusion we are looking for. Monica, I want to ask you, when we are talking of inclusion, that what are the biggest challenges in terms of diversity and inclusion, and what can we do to have a better diversity and inclusion?
Right. Before we even start about talking on what the challenges are in terms of diversity and inclusion, I think it's very important to understand and know why it is important and what are we actually talking about. Because the term diversity and inclusion gets thrown out very often today, more often than not, for wrong reasons. People don't really understand fully, even though we've been talking about this now for some time. Few people really understand why we are doing this and what it is actually about. So let's talk about that, and I'll come to the challenges after I've described what and why of it. Let's get something straight, right? Diversity and inclusion is not about women getting prioritized over men just because they're women. It's not about that. It's not about prioritizing and giving better opportunities to women, even if they're less qualified, over more qualified men just because they're women. It's not about that. A lot of people misunderstand that we are doing this for the purposes of, oh, should women now get promoted even if they're not qualified? Shouldn't they be promoted because they're qualified? Shouldn't they be included and have better opportunities based on the skills? Absolutely. So it's not about these things. What it is actually about, it's basically about not taking away opportunities from women because they're women. It's about not expecting women to have to prove themselves harder, to have to do more in terms of an equally qualified man just because they're a woman. It is, at the end of the day, about two things. It's about equality in opportunities that women get and equality in representation that we have in our society, at workplace, at home, wherever we go. It's about these two things. Equality of opportunities from the very beginning. Equality of opportunities of how women are given education, how they are provided opportunities in terms of work life, how they're provided opportunities in terms of not seeing that as a disadvantage of, say, for example, women wanting to pursue dreams or having these biases in the place. When I talk about representation, we have to also understand why is representation important. People go like, yeah, but why is it so important to have equality in representation in the first place? The reason for that is different genders, different ethnicities, different race, these kind of things bring different ideas, different thoughts, and different understandings that you might be missing. You cannot be inclusive if you're not well represented. I'll give you an example. Now, when I work in my career, I work with a lot of fantastic women. I have great women in my company. I have great women in obviously in my group with women in cybersecurity in Norway, internationally. But majority of my career, in the beginning at least, was spent as being the only woman in the room, being the only woman in the boardroom, being the only woman in a meeting, being the only woman in the cafeteria, being the only woman in a lot of different places. What happened because of that? Because of that underrepresentation, obviously I needed to, and many women face this. They need to change and adapt themselves so much that they need to find out constant different ways of fitting in. And don't get me wrong, adaptation and adjusting obviously can be a good thing as well. There's nothing wrong with it. I've lived in many countries. I've adapted. I speak 5 languages. I obviously respect different cultures, and I believe that is important. But when you have to adapt and adjust constantly to fit into an environment where the rules are not even set by you, rules are set by somebody else, where they don't understand what it actually is about, it's exhausting. And it's, to be very honest, not really fair.
Yes.
And that's really the reason why representation is important. And then you come out to the point of, okay, what can we really do to actually help women, the challenges that they face? So I think one of the biggest challenges, to answer your question, one of the biggest challenges that they face is the biases that are already pre-existing in the society or from men in terms of what they can do, how they can speak, how they should speak, act, behave, and think accordingly, according to certain rules that are already rigged, according to certain rules where women were not asked what accordingly actually means. So what we can do about it? The change can happen in two forms, in two ways, externally and internally. Externally is outside, right? It's workplace, it's society, it's family, it's these different external factors. For a workplace, it's important for them to know this is not about fulfilling some kind of quota to start a diversity and inclusion program in a company. That's not what this is about. You should have the right reasons for why you're doing it. Why would a workplace want representation? As I mentioned, to be able to have better ideas, voice, inclusiveness. A study and a report that came out from McKinsey showed there were facts and figures that really showed that productivity and financial sales and financial results of a company increase with gender and ethnic diversity, with inclusiveness. So you want, as an employer, what you really want is you want to build an environment that is inclusive, that's more productive, that's happier, and that's healthier. And that's, at the end of the day, more productive for yourself as well, and better results.
Thanks.
When you're in the, just to sum up, when you're in the family, everybody should ask, if your partner is underrepresented or minority, you have to really ask them, what am I doing for them to help them and support them, and ultimately to have a sustainable change. What we're doing with all this is ultimately wanting to have a world that is inclusive by default. It starts at an early age. Start with kids, start with the youth, let them understand, talk about gender equality and inclusiveness. Only then it will be sustainable, and we will actually come to a world that will be inclusive by default.
I think I agree with you, Monica, that it's time to make new rules and new values, right? And from what to why, now we are going to Ila. Ila, I want to ask you, do you have a case of gender diversity or women inequality, and any recommendations to improve the existing disparity, according to you?
Great. Thanks, Sonal, for the question. And I would like to start with some statistics here. So if we talk about cybersecurity, there are around 20% women that represent cybersecurity right now. There is an expected gap that is going to be there of unfulfilled jobs by 2022 of around 1.8 million. So there's a real push for women to be a part of the domain, so to say. But what is really alarming is the statistics in terms of disparity which are there in security. So if you look at the statistics, men are 4 times more likely to hold executive roles as compared to women. And men are 9 times more likely to have managerial roles compared to women. And if you look at the pay, there's again a disparity of 6%. If you look at the discriminatory treatment, then women suffer like 230% more than men. So that actually brings us to our first challenge for women, which is lack of equal opportunity. So to combat that, the companies must look at their hiring and promotion processes. Really, if you look at the data on the JDs, you'll find that it's predominantly male gendered language that it speaks. So to curtail that disparity, the organizations need to have more inclusive JDs. They need to have kind of existing interviews, vetting approaches need to change, and then the whole culture of the organizations need to be much more inclusive. So that's at the organization level. If you kind of look at the visibility and initiatives within the organizations that the women get, you'd see that the opportunity for women vis-a-vis male members on the same profile are much less, and that is something I've experienced myself. Another key issue that I've seen in the industry is that it's a very close knit fraternity, so to say. So the problem that occurs is that it leads to frequent recommendations, recommendation for people in the circle, so to say. And that really, the path to success to networking for female then becomes a little more difficult compared to men because of the obvious reasons. So I think the fraternity in itself needs to be a lot more inclusive, and they need to invite the outsiders, so to say, to their inner circle. Secondly, when it comes to women specifically, I think all the training and employment opportunities which are there, they need to be communicated to women. Also, can we make it a lot more flexible, wherever possible, so that more and more women are encouraged to be a part of the industry in the first place? For those people who are actually holding the position right now, maybe they can educate their line managers on, the kind of importance of gender diversity, and then maybe give them some tools to kind of drive the change internally as well within the organizations. Another key, issue that or challenge that is in the industry prevalent, and I would say underlying belief in industry, is that there is a preference for certain background in security. Now, the fact that the gap between the physical and the cyber security is narrowing so fast, this is actually leading to a lot of CSO roles being converted into CISO roles, and that convergence is actually leading to the gender neutral, or kind of neutral, so to say, profile requirements. And I think that culture is very interesting. And if you look at one of the research that was done by an organization called Data Layer, it came about that there among the top 20 skills which are there required for the CISO position, 17 of those are actually soft skills only. And those are under four major quadrants which are there, which is leadership skills, analytical skills, interpersonal skills, and personal character skills. And if you look at the resume analytics again, it will reveal that women bring broader skill diversity in all these areas. And the research showed that these skills are the key differentiators for leaders in this domain particularly. So I'm very hopeful that with this kind of statistics and the change and advent of technology, there will be more of diversity and inclusiveness that will be seen in the space going forward. Another important thing I think here, which Monica also indicated, is that you find negligible females in the leadership roles. I myself have met so many global leaders all across throughout my tenure. You hardly find CXO, level people who are actually females. Many times I have been in the boardrooms and I've been the only female. And just to answer Monica's question, I used to think that I only looked at it as being human and not a male or a female at all, so that I could think neutrally and without any other bias, really. So, but coming back to these leadership roles, I think we really need to promote that, because if you look at the pay inequality, the young millennials actually experience much lesser inequality in pay compared to baby boomers. So you can see where the trend is going and where we need to rectify things. And we really need to have role models in the space of security, which certainly is lacking right now. because we need to have inspirational, influential figures to look up to, which women look up to and aspire for, really. And another thing I think we can do is that we can have a program with the young girls specifically, wherein you have workshops, camps, other experiences, wherein girls can be involved, young girls. Just like coding camps happen, there can be security camps that can take place, and all these young girls who are kind of excited about problem solving and logic, they can also see security as one of the career option which is there. Right now, I see that there's a lot of stuff which is happening through women in security, and like Monica mentioned, women in cybersecurity domain as well, wherein they are driving the DNI agenda pretty well, and I'm sure they're going to do that going forward. I think they've come some distance, but I think there's a lot that is yet to be done in this area, which is a very gradual thing which is happening right now. But I think it needs to change, and for that change to happen, we need to have a change in the belief system, we need to have a change in the processes, we need to have a change in the organizational cultures, and the cultures in families as well. So yeah, I think that those are just some of my inputs around the
Thank
digital
you. Thank
cybersecurity.
you. Yeah, we all want to be seen as human beings, not as man and a woman. I agree with you
Absolutely.
completely. So now we come to Rupal ji. Rupal ji, since you are in the industry for the longest, and I want to know what are the changing role of women in security industry and what are the steps to overcome them?
Sure. So, for the last 1 decade, I must say that we have seen a lot of shift into bringing these diversities into the sector. I fully agree with Ila that if you take 2000 onward, especially Indian environment, if we take, I agree that in biggest of the boardrooms or the conferences, the women representation was very less. But now with the shift of any security delivery, which is coming as not a typical physical security, which was always seen as masculine, male, very high build. Now it has changed because any building or any person or even a household today is looking at security which is more tech enabled. Moment you bring it more tech enabled, each site is looked upon in a very different way. Each household is looked upon in a very different way. When we are now providing a solution centric approach to a client, it's way beyond physical security. And when it is way beyond physical security, it opens a hell lot of opportunities on the technology front. You need to be Six Sigma on cyber security. You could be doing a surveillance sitting into a command control center. You could be on site as well, because our physical security, we must understand in India, especially I'm talking in the Indian context, the physical security is a deterrent and a prevention. We are not a law and order people. Our job is to make sure that if we assess anything, if we sense anything, if we see a risk, let it not mushroom into a threat and become a law and order problem. That's where our role comes in. We are more prevention. We are more to ensure that it doesn't get into a bigger and response. And response has to be not only our response as security companies, but we collaborate with local police and a lot of other ambulances. I mean, depending upon what the site requirement is. So in that case, there is a shift now. When the shift happens from highly physically delivered security solution to a technology oriented, it offers a lot of different skill sets. The skill sets are more around, how witty you are, how good you are in terms of response, how good you can handle that situation, which is completely gender neutral. It doesn't require a masculine a build to handle that situation. So that we have seen the change. So this convergence has really helped in opening doors, and where I do see a lot of women coming as CIOs, Chief Information Officer, CSO. We have Himani here. We have forensic audit people like Ila is there. We have decorated people like Monica there. Plenty of people around, in the women, which offers, opportunity for them. In the leadership role, a salesperson is a salesperson, no matter what it what is given to him to sell or her to sell. So a lot of opportunities on the business development side, on product development side, as a system integrator. I see assignment managers as women now. I do see on-site lady guards. Each place in hospitals we see a lot of lady guards being preferred. It's sector specific, where perhaps at few places, depending upon the job quality. And when we see at a job role, let's not demarcate as women and men. Any men can also not qualify for that job role, and any women also cannot qualify for a job role, or vice versa. And this is how the trends are changing, absolutely changing now. And I must say that in the procurement side, this is a statistics by Security Industry Association Women, where they have done an all the world, around the world, global they did the survey and found that 85% of the purchasing worldwide is done by women.
Wow.
How do you overcome it? Equitable workforce, fair hiring. Diversity, as Monica said, should not be misconstrued as quota. It's not a quota system. What we want is be a fair hiring. When a hiring opportunity, a job description should be absolutely gender neutral. Because and the last thing, it's a household requirement for everyone. A normal child born is the competency of a normal child who is born is gender neutral as far as competency is concerned. It's every human being, every household, every parent requirement today is how they bring their child, how they want to, and thereafter these physical, challenges which generally women are said to have encountered will also over a period of time disappear. I do see that being service provider and leaders, we should mentor. We should offer more. If any effective organization needs to have diversity to bring more innovative ideas, to bring more, family-friendly play, to bring more an atmosphere, where these, gender harassments, all these should be taken care of, and above all, as all other panelists also said. So I would like to say that make it, absolutely a fair hiring. Give everyone more a chance of opportunity, and myself a classic example of that. Give a fair
Thank you.
chance. Yeah, I'm myself a classic example.
Rupalji,
That
I
I
want
think
to
is
ask you one more thing. Since we are
yes.
talking about household and journal people here, so I want one single tip from all of you for a journal security tip from you, Rupalji. You start just one tip, and then we'll wrap up the panel.
All right. So yeah. So it's a house. If it is just a household tip, I would say that ensure that your home, when you are stepping out of your home, you have the and it is not female or it is not male. Let's not make those distinctions. You should have all the necessary emergency numbers loaded. You should be always on an app which connects you to to any of the and there are plenty of apps available around, that connects you, that in case of any emergency, you get a response as early as possible, be it from the enforcement, or be it from your family.
Great.
So
Great.
that is something I would propose.
Thank you. So, Himani, what is the personal security habit you want to highlight?
Very simple, the one which is actually gender neutral. I would say, be aware of your habits, your surroundings, potential attackers. Once you are aware of your surroundings, I think things will be sorted. You will be, prepared at least to fight back.
Yeah. Hila, how about you? What tip you want to give?
Yeah, I'd like to give one of the tips that we usually kind of give in the women's security training, because it's a women's security program, so I feel a little biased. So it's about, when you're entering the lift, you should be the last one to enter the lift, so that you're the first one standing. If you have to, come out of the lift, there's an unprecedented situation, you're not stuck at the back, and you can quickly come out. So that's a very simple tip, but everyday things.
Thank you. That's going to be very helpful for me. Thank you, Hila. Okay, Monica, since we are in a digital era, what what security tip you want to give to people who are using the computer and webinars and everything digital?
One single word: mindset.
Okay.
Consider every email that's coming to you as a potential phishing email. Consider every link that you get as a potential malware. Have that mindset on at home, at work, everywhere. The world is so intertwined today, you cannot separate your work from your private lives anymore. This level of security and mindset is as important in everyday life as ever, and it will be more important after COVID as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Monica. And here we conclude our panel. Thank you very much, ladies, and thank you.